Hi everyone, Alex Wilson again from Mindful Recovery Services and the Central Coast DBT Centre. I'm here on the DBT download once again to give you a little tidbit of DBT, dialectical behavioral therapy, for your day. So today I'm going to be talking about avoidance. So this is something that I focus on a lot in my work, and my team does too. So what is avoidance? It's basically behaviors that humans will engage in to get rid of or get away from emotional distress. Okay, so common avoidance behaviors are things like drug and alcohol use, right? Get rid of distress pretty quickly. Sometimes literal avoidance, so like isolating, withdrawing, avoiding going places, school avoidance. These are all types of avoidance. Also, behaviors like disordered eating can be a form of avoidance. It means not having to sit with unpleasant emotions, particularly around food, or just generally unpleasant emotions. Self-harm is unfortunately a very common avoidance behavior. It does allow people to get rid of distress quite quickly, or it distracts them from their distress temporarily, which feels better. Anger and aggression can be an avoidance. So if I lash out, scream, yell, hit somebody, I feel better for a moment, right? And then suicide. Suicide is the ultimate avoidance behavior. When people are in tons of pain, they don't think it's going to get better. I'm out, right? So we can see how avoidance behaviors can be problematic. Now, not all avoidance is problematic, by the way. Humans, we all avoid sometimes, and sometimes that's okay. But these behaviors that I've mentioned, when they become chronic in nature, can cause a lot of problems. So the behaviors themselves can cause a lot of problems. But also, the bigger problem is that if I get in a pattern of chronic avoidance of emotion, my tolerance to emotion goes down. So I'm no longer able to sit with unpleasant emotions, and that gets worse and worse and worse the more that I avoid. And so you can imagine, let's say somebody has decided that they don't want to go shopping anymore because they had a panic attack and it's really scary. So then they start staying home. Their world gets smaller and smaller and smaller, right? We can see how that can really spiral. So, no judgment if you're doing some avoiding, but if it's chronic in nature and you're feeling worse despite doing more avoidance, what might be happening is that your tolerance to distress is going down. So, what do we do? First of all, we got to take ownership for our avoidance behaviors that are causing problems and make a decision to try to make some changes. And then we need to learn skills to sit with distress, because if I reduce my avoidance, guess what? The stress is going to come up. How am I going to deal with that? I might need support with that. So, lots and lots of skills in DBT, distress tolerance skills that help us to sit with distress. We have tip skills, distraction skills, self-soothing skills, lots of things that can help us get through distress without having to always avoid. And then the more that we do that, the higher our tolerance to distress gets. Yeah. So you might just want to do a little bit of reflection and sort of say, hey, am I doing some avoiding in my life that maybe is causing problems? And how could I start to change that? Or am I working with somebody, or am I caring for somebody who's doing a lot of avoiding? And how could I start to see that pattern and maybe start to talk to them about ways to shift it? All right. I hope that helps. I'll catch you next time. Bye.